Taylor Swift is a witch. She's done a lot of different woo-woo witchy things, I believe, throughout the years. And I am 1,000%. Her and a couple other celebrity artists and musicians will do glamour magic, and they'll glamour themselves in specific ways before, especially when they're performing on stage for their music videos. With Vampire Diaries, they were having them recite actual real Latin spells, Latin chants, which anytime there's something that is an actual real witchcraft or occult practice, you are practicing it in real life. Energy doesn't know that you're acting on a TV show. It thinks you're doing it for real. So people will summon stuff. Sometimes if, let's say you want to cry and you're having a really, really hard time crying, you put your favorite sad song on and all of a sudden you can cry. It's not because the music is all of a sudden making you more emotional. It's because the person singing the song was most likely sad when they recorded it, and they put that energy of sadness into it, and you unknowingly are siphoning the energy out of the music.
Welcome back to the Kotadama Podcast. Over here we explore the mystical, and my guest today is Bianca Garcia. She has a platform online called the Enlightened. She's a psychic witch. She's a demonologist. She's the high priestess to Lord Lucifer. And we have so many topics to talk about. Welcome to the show, Bianca. I'm so excited.
Hi, I'm super excited for today. We do have a lot of things to talk about. Many things indeed. Maybe it's just so much. It's a lot to talk about today.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Like I could talk to you for hours. I just told you before we started recording. So I basically discovered you, girl, on social media. I love your content. So I am so intrigued. We will talk about so many things today, but let's just start with the demonologist thing. Okay. Like I know you're a psychic witch. So we're going to talk about witchcraft. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about demonology. We're going to talk about what it means to be a high priestess to Lord Lucifer. Okay. I am intrigued. So tell us a little bit. I know you were raised Catholic. So
Yes.
How does a Catholic girly end up being, the high priestess to Lucifer?
Okay. I know that's something a lot of people actually tend to ask me, because I'm a bit of a controversial person in a sense within the demonology community overall, because there's a lot of people who, once they do turn to the infernal divine, to demons, they may be coming from a very religious background. A lot of people tend to have a lot of different issues with the Abrahamic religions, for example. So they'll look into demonology, they'll start to learn about it and like what it stands for, and they'll have very staunch opinions about anything Abrahamic, anything Christian or Catholic. So for me specifically, I'm a full-blood Puerto Rican. My dad was born in Puerto Rico. And if you are from the Hispanic culture, there's a lot of times where we have Catholicism as our main religion, but it's very, very heavily mixed in with folk traditions and a lot of our cultural customs because of colonizations and things like that. So I like to say I was Catholic on paper, but a lot of my family members grew up doing Santeria, which is a more Hispanic cultural based practice that is blending in parts of Catholicism with our culture and other things of witchcraft, honestly. And so I would do little witchy things as a kid that I thought was normal, but it wasn't technically Catholicism on paper. However, my dad specifically was super, super strict, very staunch Catholic. I was not even allowed to wear a ripped jean growing up because it was very, very traditional, and I had to be very proper in church. And I was a Bible kid. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I was in the choir. I was an altar server girl. My mom taught Sunday school. I was an assistant to Sunday school. I did all the sacraments. I was in church like 5 days out of the week. I went to Catholic summer camp type of thing. But I was always that kid that was like, okay, but what about Jonah and the whale? Like, none of this stuff really makes sense. What do you mean they parted the Red Sea? I asked so many questions, and I would get in trouble a lot because they were like, why is this girl questioning things? Why is she asking all of these questions? So I turned to the internet, as many people do around my age, when you're curious about certain things. So when I was around 14, 15, I got into astrology very heavily. And then I started learning about Buddhism and other types of spiritual practices and religions because I believed in reincarnation. When they tried to tell me, oh, you die and go to heaven, my brain was like, what do you mean? Or in Catholicism specifically, when you pass away, if nobody prays for you, there's a specific belief that you will be in a purgatory state until somebody prays for you and things like that, and then you get to go to heaven. And my brain as a child, I was like, this makes no sense. I don't understand this. So I started to research that. And I very firmly believe that there is reincarnation, there is past lives and things like that. And it was a snowball. It was a rabbit hole. I didn't find out about demonology and demonology specifically until I was about 18, 19. I was in college. And that's when I had my first spiritual awakening by the time I was 17, officially on paper. I've been psychic since I was a baby. I saw ghosts. I saw dead people. I was astral projecting as a little kid. I was so tapped in. The way how I would see spirits and things like that, I thought they were normal people. You could ask my family. I had an imaginary friend as a little kid who, because we can get into this in a second, because I'm a high priestess or Lucifer, as one of my main spirit guides, he's been with me since I was a baby. So I was literally seeing him as a toddler, and he was my imaginary friend. And this, for a lot of children, your imaginary friend could be your guardian angel, a passed away loved one. It could be one of your spirit guides, basically. So because I literally grew up playing with him, seeing him until I got a little bit older and it started to freak me out. Like, why am I hearing things and seeing things nobody else is? Why am I having these weird dreams? I kind of blocked away a lot of things. And when I turned 17, 18, he started reaching out to me in dreams again. And I started to get these visions and these signs and very intense feelings to look up what it is to be spiritual, what it is to work with deities and things like this. And I, at first, because I was very hesitant about the whole demon thing, I was told when I was 18 by just a different reader, oh, you have Lord Lucifer reaching out. It was a spirit guide team identification reading for people. Somebody else would tell you, oh, you have all of these types of angels and people in your spirit team. I was told that Lucifer was there and that he was interested in me. However, I was a little bit scared. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's funny enough, being Catholic, you are told that Lucifer, Satan, like that's bad. For me, as a kid, my brain was like, because I was questioning so many things, I was like, I don't know, what if he's a nice man? I wasn't scared in that sense. I was like, I don't even know. They're trying to tell me that the whales are real and that there's a little kid living in there. My brain was like, we're just going to try to see and figure out what's okay, because the nuns would get mad at me and say that you're not supposed to be questioning God. I was like, okay. So when I started researching into the things that when you do start to get into demonology and demonology, there's a lot of people who talk about that it's very serious. So as an 18-year-old kid, like going off to college for the first time, I hadn't ever really connected with any deities up until that point. I had been researching how to read tarot, herbs, and things like that, astrology, since I was around 15. So I did that in my free time for fun from 15 to 18. And the first thing I decided to do was just a guided meditation to meet spirit guides. And that's where I met my patroness, the Roman goddess Diana. And I got super intrigued by the moon. And I started to strictly only work with moon goddesses and do moon magic until I was around, oh my gosh, I want to say like 21-ish. So I was getting a lot of different experience from different spiritual practices, different pantheons, working with deities and doing all of that. However, specifically the demonology, I knew it was there. I knew it was something for me. I knew Lucifer was there. I just didn't commit to it because I heard how serious it was. And that is something I do like to stress with people doing this professionally now. It is a very serious thing because there is a lot of misconceptions out and about, which some people are either afraid for reasons that they don't need to be afraid for, or some people take it in a more subservient, wanting to, oh, I'm going to own a demon type of an ideology, which could be very dangerous and where a lot of horror stories tend to come from. So with that context and hearing things from people, I didn't really click and connect until I was around 21. And I was meditating normally, just going into the astral, and he shows up and he's like, why are you avoiding me? Why are you afraid of me? And I kid you not, I just stood there and I was like, oh, what do you mean? Because normally when I meditate, and there's a lot of different ways when you're in the astral to go do, most people will go to a place that they're familiar with. And I have a specific place in the astral I will meditate to where I like to see my spirit guides or just connect with myself and things like that. So I was going just to do a normal meditation. And as I'm walking up to the spot, I see him there. And I was wondering, I was like, why is there this ginormous, like long-haired blonde man that kind of looks like Sephiroth from Final Fantasy in this very nice suit? Like, what is he doing? And in the back of my mind, I was like, I feel like that's Lucifer. I feel like that's him. I don't know. I had never really connected with him. And at this point in time, I didn't really remember him from my childhood because the imaginary friend that I had, I had fuzzy memories of it since it was such a long time since I was that little. But when I was walking up to him in the meditation, I saw him and immediately he's just like, why are you afraid of me? Like, don't you know me? And I'm like, who are you? I was like, who are you? I don't know you. And he's like, why are you so afraid of me? I was like, well, you're mean mugging me, because he had his arms folded across his chest and a very, very stern expression. And so I was terrified. I was honestly terrified. He's almost 7 feet tall and I'm only like 5'3". I'm like 160 centimeters. So to see somebody who's like 190 centimeters, like that large, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. But he basically took me by my hand and we just started walking, and it's been history since then. He was very strong with the communication that I would have, and I'm very, very clairvoyant. I'm very clairaudient. So I hear very well. I see very well. And I'm luckily one of the people who I have trained and opened my third eye enough where I will see deities I like to say, as if they were real people right in front of you in the space. So if you and me were in a room together, I could literally tell you, oh yeah, Lucifer's standing in that corner. He's wearing a blue suit. Somebody else is in the other corner. They're like looking at something, touching something. And it's not the same as obviously looking at people with your eyes. I like to describe it almost as if it's the shadow and outline of a person, and you're more so seeing the images in your third eye. And most of the time, because I'm also very, very claircognizant, I'll just have a clear knowing and understanding, oh, I can tell they're in this part of the room and I'm hearing something as well. So everything put together after a lot of practice, it starts to feel like they're just a normal person, regular person in the room, basically. So he would just start showing up. He'd be in my space and he would start teaching me things, because I was very terrified at first. I didn't know what was okay, what was etiquette and whatnot. And the really beautiful thing about why I work with him, why I love demons, why I love demonology, is that they stand for sovereignty. Him specifically, he is not just the devil as people know him. There is that connotation, there is that epithet of him. And I like to say the word epithet because a lot of people who are pagan or into working with deities understand for Greek deities, Roman deities, there are epithets where it's different versions of them that will manifest, that represents a different part of their providence or what they are a god over. So with Lucifer, he is the infernal ruler. He does rule over hell. He does torture people. However, the torturing aspect and what I've learned and gone very, very deep within hell is that it is for a rehabilitory purpose. It's not that, oh, you did something super, super bad and you're going to be stuck in hell forever. It's not necessarily that. Earth, I truly believe, is a school where the soul goes to learn certain lessons, and that's why life is really, really difficult, and that's why we have a lot of ugly things. However, just because you do something really bad in a one specific lifetime doesn't make you an evil monster. Doesn't really make you an evil monster. You could do very, very horrific things, and if you did that and you did not really learn your lesson on Earth, you would then go to a place like hell in the infernal pantheon to learn rehabilitation through pain, through other things, because sometimes if you yourself are inflicting so much pain on another human being while you're a human, the only way for you to really learn why that's not okay would be to have that inflicted onto you, to understand this is why that's not okay. At the end of the day, to be doing that. And once that experience would be over, then your soul gets to reincarnate into a new lifetime on Earth and you go through your things. I have a very interesting perspective over past lives and soul ascension and what happens and why human beings are on Earth. And whenever I talk about hell, I also like to tell people, based on where your soul was created, based on where you're coming from, it's not just technically Lucifer's hell. There's other underworlds, like the Greek underworld. There's one in Hinduism, Buddhism, where if that is where your culture is, that's where you're tied to, your bloodline, you would be going to those specific places. The same way how we can understand that there's deities in different cultures that do the same function, that they are a god over the sun. It goes the same way for the underworld, for afterlives as well, and for punishments, rehabilitation. So for Lucifer, his domain, the infernal realm of hell, is very, very large because a vast majority of people are Christian or have some sort of ties with Christianity. And Christianity has been known to be associated with Europe, with the Middle East, now in the Americas. It's gone over to many different places. So in today's age and time, it will affect a lot of different people, essentially. So he taught me all of that. He taught me, don't be afraid of the afterlife. Don't be afraid of standing in your power. I never want you to prostrate yourself in front of me. You yourself are a divine being. basically. You can become your own God. You are a God in your own right, and there's nothing wrong with being a human being. Just because you connect with deities and you connect with everything on the other side, you don't have to think of yourself as less than. And for somebody coming from a Catholic background with religious trauma, because there were traumatic things that happened to me while I was growing up in such an organized religion, it was very healing for me, and it allowed me to come to accept certain parts of myself, love certain parts of myself. And Lucifer himself, I should go fully into, he's the Infernal Emperor. He, in my experience, and this is where he's the god of free will and enlightenment. He has different origin stories based on what you personally will believe in. His origin story could be coming from a Greek or a Roman background from some people's belief. It could be coming from different stories and parts. I personally have the opinion that due to religious trauma, some people don't necessarily like to listen to the take that I have, or what I and a lot of other people do find him to be coming from heaven, coming as a fallen angel, and that story of him. And that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, he's going to manifest for you how it is right for you and what you truly believe in. And that's how I teach people as well. I am of the belief, and from what he told me through my own practice, and in the demonology community, we like to call that unverified personal gnosis, or your UPG. And that is anything that happens in your personal practice and what's told between you and the demon, you and the infernal, basically. And what would be considered anything as verified gnosis is large grimoires or historical texts that people like to take as the truth. So if you were to compare the Bible to, oh, that's the word of law when it comes to Christianity, Jesus, and God, what we have, the Ars Goetia and other, the Lesser Keys of Solomon, certain historical texts that were written back in the day, back in like the 1400s, 1500s, the demonology community considers that almost as our Bible. So things that were written and recorded in those books are considered to be verified gnosis, because so many different demonolators from back then in olden times wrote about the same experiences and whatnot. So people tend to take that as your guiding compass. And then anything else that happens beyond that is unverified. It's your personal experience. So for me, he told me, verified with me, he used to be an angel in heaven. However, when he got to reincarnate and live a human lifetime, because angels actually get to live lifetimes, deities as well, for the purpose of understanding how to help a human being as a teacher and how to give them love and compassion, will have a lifetime experience here on earth. He did that, went back, and he was like, what the hell is going on here, to God, essentially. He was like, why are the people suffering? Why do you not necessarily care about them as much? What's going on here? I don't agree with what's going on. And he was told to basically shut up. And he, as always, the Venus morning star, even as an angel, he was the angel of light, of enlightenment. So he was like, this doesn't sit right with me, and decided to go to war with heaven, and rallied other people who at the time, other fallen angels that are very known, like Azazel, uh, Satanas, or Satan, and Satan and Lucifer, two different people, and I'll touch base on that more in a second. But yeah, they're two different people. The different angels that are known and that are described in the Watchers or other specific Christian texts decided to rally behind Lucifer because he wanted to help humanity. At that point in time, from the perspective and lens of the Christian God, or creator God, as I like to call them, because different religions have their specific God who created everything. For the Christian God, he was like, it's my way or the highway. Everything that I do is perfect, and anything that goes against that, I don't like to necessarily promote. But in that, there's such a disconnect between what an actual human perspective is and what is going on in the mind of a God. Because when you have so much knowledge and so much wisdom, and you're zooming out for something, like example, let's say you get into a really bad car accident and it leaves you paralyzed and you hate your life, and you're like, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? A deity or a God, because they see your life events and they know what wisdom is going to help you, would look at that and say, you got into that car accident because it's going to help you heal your addiction. It's going to help you in some other area of your life, and it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah. But in a human level, on a human perspective, you're like, I'm in pain. pain. It sucks down here. I can't walk anymore. Like, what do you mean? And so there's that disconnect from the godly outward perspective. And that's what Lucifer didn't agree with, and how humanity was suffering and poverty and not having enough knowledge or wisdom to help themselves. So he didn't actually fall or go to war over greed or sin or pride. It was for humanity's sake, to help them and let them have knowledge. So the war ensued. He lost, and he likes to tell me that he lost the battle, but he won the war, because in doing that, he got to the realm of hell itself, because it existed before he ever became an emperor, before the Ars Goetia, the Goetic daemons, were established, essentially. He fell into this realm, and there was native beings, and there was everything that was there. It was almost like a little planet and world of itself, if you want to call it like that. And he organized everything. He rallied other people together, because certain demons like Asmodeus are not coming strictly from the infernal pantheon. And when I like to talk about this and explain to people, because there are certain demons who have origins in different older religions, most of them from ancient Mesopotamia, from Babylon, from Can, that have been fallen civilizations, and nobody practices those religions anymore. For deities who are a part of religions or pantheons that people and human beings cease to exist in, either have to join a brand new religion in order to have people pray to them, give offerings for them to still have spiritual power here over earth, or they become forgotten. So somebody like Asmodeus is actually coming from Zoroastrianism. Actually, he is a Persian king. He's from Iran, and literally his people are the Iranian people. But with the fall from ancient Mesopotamian Zoroastrianism not necessarily being as huge and as widespread as it was, he decided to join the infernal pantheon, and that's why he's known as a deva of wrath in Zoroastrianism. And within an infernal demonology perspective, he's known as King Asmodeus, a part of hell. And he's not just over lust, he's also over pride and worth and self-improvement. And I always love to say that if you have ever had problems with your body confidence, or any type of an assault or something, he's somebody that can help you gain your self-confidence back. He's somebody that can help you feel whole as a person again, and understand that you can take your pain and you can transmute it and alchemize it into your power. You never have to be a victim. That never has to be your story. And that goes for not just him, but a lot of the other Ars Goetic daemons that a lot of people like to talk about and to connect with. And from this whole perspective of, it's about helping humanity, it's about understanding your free will, how sovereign you are, and that point of why me and so many other people come to love them and come to really work with these spirits. But it's a very different perspective, because for me, I had the background context of working with Greek and Roman deities specifically, who do have a more perspective of, I am your God, you need to kneel before me and worship me. A lot of different pantheons of gods will feel like that. That's not necessarily wrong. That just directly, it doesn't mesh well with an infernal perspective, because Lucifer stands for teaching humans, you're powerful yourself. You're a god in your own right. I don't want you to prostrate yourself in front of me. I don't want you to kneel and worship me. You're going to work with me, and we're going to work together hand in hand. And that is most of the time of working with them. Yes, you can have a contract with demons, and it's actually really nice, because you'll go up to them and say, hey, I want to have a contract with you. I want to be famous. And contrary to popular belief, no, you cannot sell your soul. You can never sell your soul. That's not something you can necessarily do. And they don't really want it. They don't really want it. They don't really need it. They'll sit there and be like, okay, like for the musicians, I'm going to give the groundbreaking news. No human artist or musician has ever sold their soul to the devil. But you know what they did instead? If they went to Lucifer specifically, he asked them for a song. He asked them for an album. That's why there's so many songs dedicated to the devil, dancing with the devil, or name dropping him specifically, Lucifer. Because for him, as the god of enlightenment, he also rules over media. So he will influence his energy, musicians, artists, writers, to carry what his wisdom is in their bodies of work. So a lot of music, especially like rock, punk music, he is really enmeshed and involved in. And those people who technically went to him to get famous and did that little deal in a contract, he just wanted the album. He's like, make the album after me, write a song after me, give me, he's told me he's gotten cars and a myriad of things as offerings in exchange. A contract is just, I need this, you'll give me this in exchange. Okay, boom. And that's how it is. It's not scary at all. The misconception with it being scary is there is a form of working with demons that I personally find very unethical and I don't like. It's called Solomonic magic. And the perspective of it is King Solomon and working with the Bible and kind of more Christian or Jewish religious perspective of it, where you will try to subjugate a demon and force them to do something for you in tandem with asking an angel to help as well. I don't really like this perspective. It's a more archaic way of looking at working with demons because they would like to help humanity. Some of them don't. There are some demons that have been recorded and have shown their face or shown who they are to humanity. However, they don't want to help humanity. And those are the types of demons that will be in books that say, please don't reach out to them. Please don't contact them. They don't want to work with people. They're a very dangerous spirit to try and call upon, essentially. There is a category of them that are like that. But for the other ones that are open for humans, they're very willing and open to do that. It's almost like, oh, you want to work with Aphrodite or Apollo? It's the same concept. So there is no need for the subjugation piece. And what is very, very big with demons specifically, a lot of gods, but very specifically Infernals, is respect. So if you're trying to invoke them and have them come into your space and you're trying to boss them around and say, oh, you're going to do this, this, and this for me, they will do something to ruin your life. But I also like to tell people, imagine asking Aphrodite and ordering Aphrodite around when we have stories and poems about her literally turning women into different things, having her son Eros go and shoot a bow and arrow to torment a girl, basically in her lore and her stories. So it's, if you were going to be respectful to any type of a divine being, the same thing applies. Don't summon them and think you're going to subjugate them, and that just because you try to call upon an angel. And this is where I do have slight problems with Christian witches or people who are very, very Christian and also into witchcraft, where they have this conception and connotation that, oh, I work with Jesus, I work with God, I don't have to respect any of the infernals, I don't have to respect Lucifer or any of the other demons, and they can't hurt me. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. They can, in fact. If you call upon them, and there's a couple people like just coming to mind that they've spoken about this experience where they try to call forth Lucifer or a different infernal, and they have this connotation of, oh, they're evil, oh, they're awful, I'm going to call God to save me. But in that certain experience, if you're being rude and disrespectful, God can't do anything in that moment to save you because you're going and disrespecting another God that also has divine power, divine authority. Especially Lucifer, because he's the king and emperor of an entire pantheon. It's like the same hierarchy as Zeus being over all of the Greek Olympian gods, essentially. So it's kind of like if you play with fire, you get burned in that sense, but they're not scary.
Girl, oh my God, I just need to wait. This is so much crazy information. Okay. Wait. Like, I want to go into so many things here. Yeah. One moment. Okay. So, just so you know about me, like, I was raised in a Muslim religion, right? Okay. So in Islam, again, very similar to Christianity and Judaism, is an Abrahamic religion. So you have this idea of, you have to pray to God, and like, God can give or not give you things. And, you have angels, and you have demons as well, which in Islam are called like jinns or whatever, so it's like, it's very similar, different kind of titles for things, but even sometimes the same people show up, the same stories, okay, as in Christianity. But I have like, I do not identify right now with any religion at all, but I personally believe in the monad. Like, I actually agree with a lot of Gnostic teachings. I believe in the one source that is everything. So when I talk about like God or source, I think about everything in existence ever, the fabric of reality that is you and me and the table and Lucifer and the angel. And so for me, it's very hard to talk about source, because source is everything and in everything, in my belief. So what I hear now from what you're saying, okay, like, I'm always interested to hearing all these different things. I'm just interested in like, okay, so when you talk about God, are you referring, because I believe there are demiurges. So I kind of agree with the Gnostics that there are deities that people pray to that actually exist, but are not the one God that I believe actually is unnameable because it is everything. So are we talking about, when you say God, are you talking about this Abrahamic God that is not all that is?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm so used to talking about this in my lessons and when I teach my clients and my students that I forget that there is that connotation. So for me, how I've been taught and what I believe in a little bit of the concept of the tree of life and how every single branch, every single leaf on the tree of life is a different universe. And that entire tree is basically the fabric of everything. That is what is everything in a nutshell. And I believe that because I also talk about reality shifting and multi-dimensions and things like that this specific reality, this universe that we're in, there is a universal creator that is in charge of just this specific reality and not everything that's on that tree of life, because we have parallel universes, everything like that. So just within that context and how I like to explain, I actually have a lecture called The Creation of Deities where I share like in very long depth about how deities came to be, because from how I was taught, for our specific universe, there was a universal creator and he went and created, I like to call them creator deities or creator gods. Because if you look in the Norse pantheon, if you look in Hinduism, if you look in Chinese mythology, everybody has their own deity that is technically playing the role of creating all the other deities, creating humans, creating animals of that faction, essentially. And so I like to say that there was different creator gods that in all of these different cultures. And the reason why we have cultures is because if Earth is a school and humanity needs to have conflict in order to learn and evolve, you needed different types of people. You needed different types of groups of people, because what's happened historically, war due to religion, due to race, due to color. So that was done on purpose so that the soul learns and evolves. And because you have different types of groups of people on different parts of the world, because for most of humanity, we haven't been so interconnected, you would need the same type of a god just for that specific religion and culture. So the Chinese creator god would not be the same as the Aztec creator god. That's on two different sides of the world. But these gods were then given the powers to create the rest of their pantheon, create the human beings that would then be placed on Earth, and why we also genetically look different. And there's different types of Homo sapiens and human genetics that we all evolved from, basically. So from that, guys, in context, whenever I say the Christian God, I just like to call him God, because I grew up Catholic, and I will refer to every other, because I don't know why Christianity is like this, because like, again, if you look Chinese mythology, if you look in Hinduism, Buddhism, all these other places, their creator God is named. Like, within Chinese mythology, you have Nuwa, who created everything within their religion, their context. But when it comes to Christianity, everybody just calls the man God. Sometimes I've called him, Yahweh. Some people do also call him by that, and I've heard that he responds to that and things like that. So for educational purposes, if I'm just referring to Yahweh, it's over his little part within Christianity, because I do believe every religion exists, has its authority, and is very, very valid.
Yeah.
And that there's different versions of all of that. But I do really agree with everything at the end of the day is so interconnected, but it's just from a very large scope
the highest
outwards.
Perspective. Yeah.
Highest perspective. And when I talk about there's multiple moon deities, love deities, how I was taught is that they're all coming from this source and stream of consciousness, that they were just kind of separated for the purpose of teaching humans in different ways across the globe. But at the end of the day, they all come back to that same level of consciousness. Their energy is all coming from, if it's a love deity, from Venus. If it's a moon deity, it's coming from the moon. If they're sun, everything is also so interconnected with the planets and astrology too, and all of it.
I mean, there's just so much. Obviously, what I'm talking about right now when I talk about the monad, the one, the source, which I believe is everything in existence ever in all parallel realities all together, that is such a high perspective. Of course, I understand that there's other deities, other beings, even angels. If you look, if you look at angelic beings, from what I believe, I think they're on a very high plane close to that source. But because of that, they are so removed from the human perspective, just as you just said in the story with Lucifer, that they actually, and I said this before on the podcast, and I say this to friends, I'm like, you can channel angels if you want to, honestly, but they will not be able to really relate to you at all. Because for them, I mean, even lying.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when we look at like religion and how religions teach us like lying is bad, from a perspective of an angel, I mean, no, I mean, the things that they think is right and wrong can be completely different because they are so removed from the human experience, so incredibly removed. Pain is an illusion. Well, that's not easy. As you made the great example to say that to, I don't know, like a R-word victim, right? Like, oh, pain is just an illusion. Like, okay, what am I going to do with that now? Like, I'm here right now and I'm feeling the pain. So what I wanted to say about that is I love how you explained the whole like spiritual sovereignty. I think that is really, really important. And I saw another creator on Instagram that I follow who talks about demonology. I'm just interested. I'm not for or against anything. Okay, I'm just sitting here. I'm interested in hearing different perspectives. And she says basically that demons are demonized. And so that the things that we consider demons are actually vampiric spirits. Like when I think about a demon, I think about like an evil spirit that's trying to like suck your soul or suck your energy or make you sad or something. What is the difference there for you, I guess?
Yeah, and it's funny you say this because that's also something people get really intrigued or confused by when I say I'm a demonologist and things like that. But I've gone viral for videos like speaking out against The Conjuring or speaking out against Euphoria recently because of demonic spirits, demonic entities and things like this, or me still liking to connect with Jesus and angels in a sense. And how I explain it to people is I believe in so many different things. I believe that you need both light and the dark, and that the concept of good and bad is literally, it's a human concept. It is a human concept. In reality, everything is neutral. Everything is neutral. And sometimes being a human, you need to be okay with just having that human experience, human perspective, because anything so far up with so much expansion and knowledge and looking at things, they're going to have a different perspective, exactly like what you just said. So when I get into hell and I tell people, oh, like, love Jesus, but I'm a priestess or Lucifer, like, I love working with demons, they think I'm talking about something like in The Exorcist. And that's not true. So within hell itself, and what I like to tell people is that hell is a hierarchy, and the infernal divine are really no different than a normal deity, like Aphrodite, Apollo. And the demonic spirits that could hurt you, could possess you, that are trying to steal energy from you, siphon things from you, feed off of you, those are so low bottom barrel entities coming from hell. It's almost the same perspective that if you looked at Lucifer and the rest of the goetic demons as kings and nobility who ruled that little planet, these entities that want to feed on you would be like worms and ants that are coming from so bottom, so down below, that they need to feed off of human energy, human life source in order to survive. It's a very different thing. And yes, there's different classifications. There are vampiric spirits that are trying to just steal your energy and essence overall. There are succubi that want to feed off of your life force energy through sex. I always like to tell people, if you're having one of those dreams where something's trying to sleep with you, please don't do it. Try to wake up, try to like, that's a really like scary thing, because something's trying to feed on you while your body's sleeping and suck your energy out in the astral and stuff.
Wait, what if it's a sex dream with a human? Do you still think it can be succubus?
So here's the thing. They will never appear to you as a succubus in their true form. I've literally, I had a dream. I will never forget this, because also these types of entities and spirits, because they want you to trust them, will take whatever form in your mind is you're more susceptible to or accepting. So I'll never forget, I had a really weird dream where Doja Cat showed up, and as soon as I saw Doja Cat, I was like, that's not Doja Cat, that is not Doja Cat. But it was some weird entity thing taking the form of Doja Cat, trying to steal and suck my energy away through sex. And I was like, no, thank you. And I literally ran away, and it chased me. And as it was chasing me, I was seeing it change form, because I was like, no. I'm super, when it comes to sleeping, I wear protective crystals and stuff that I never take off, because I'm like, you're not going to catch me slipping. You're not going to get me while I'm sleeping, because it's scary.
Sorry. No, wait, what? I have to tell you this. Same with Doja Cat. I had a similar experience.
Oh no.
I swear. I swear.
I don't know if we're going to get into celebrities, but I do have things about her specifically, psychically speaking.
Me too. So, okay, I got multiple downloads. This is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. We're both psychic crazy people on the internet. This is not real.
Mm-hmm.
I had multiple dreams where, because I do healing in the astral. So I'm a healer in the astral realm. Okay, so people know me. I don't know if you can feel it of my energy, but like I'm in the astral. I mean, like subconsciously, I help people. I do like rescue missions. I do teachings. I do whatever the fuck I do in the astral. Okay, so I have it sometimes that some celebrity spirits come to me and they ask me for help, but some of these spirits, I mean, just these souls of these celebrities, some of them are just very corrupted, okay? Like, I don't want to say, I think everyone's soul is pure at the end of the day. But with Doja Cat specifically, I had multiple experiences. And this was going on for 2 weeks or something, like almost every night, where she would come through, she would ask for help. But then what she would do is she would have this like disgusting energy of like almost like a jester, trickster spirit of like fucking with me. Like, and it was icky. So I like woke up from it and I was like, this is annoying at this point. Like, I would love to help, like be of help for you in any way, but like, this is annoying. Like, but yeah, what do you feel about this?
So I have a whole, I have a whole perspective on this. I've said this about a couple different celebrities on videos on my TikTok. And again, allegedly entertainment purposes, I'm a psychic lady, right? Yeah. For certain celebrities, specifically, I just mentioned that there's a lot of different types of entities that they need to feed on your life force. And I've spoken about how this will show up in media like TV shows like Euphoria. However, within Hollywood itself and how big New Age spiritualism is within Hollywood from a lot of celebrities that they're posting and talking about, I'm finding that what I think is occurring is a lot of celebrities are going to specific spiritual people for guidance that aren't necessarily good spiritual people. And they're connecting them and giving them these relationships or connections to unclean types of spirits that are trying to eat your life force, do certain things. And I have a whole video on my YouTube channel talking about Epstein and the file specifically and how that played out with large government type of people, but in the same sense with celebrities that I mentioned earlier, people think that they'll go do a deal with the devil, with Lucifer, and sell their soul, but he will never ask you for your soul. However, some sort of like demonic entity, something that is needing to feed on a life force, will come to you with a contract and say, hey, I'll make you super uber famous. And in exchange, you're giving me your energy, your life force. And what I find is that they start to attach onto the person's aura, onto their soul, and they will inhabit their body, be in the body with them, and kind of take force. And it's the real person. They're still in there, but they're being crowded and surrounded by this demonic trickster type of a spirit that's eating away at their life force and forcing them to do certain types of behaviors, forcing them to do a lot of specific things, because for them, that they're just like such a low level type of an entity. They're like, oh, I'd love to have a body to run around with and do things on the human plane on Earth, essentially. So I really do think Doja Cat, again, allegedly is a victim of this. And and I think she has spoken about certain spiritual practices that she's partaken in the past and whatnot. And I think I made a whole video about Selena Gomez and how I allegedly think that that's also really big with Selena Gomez and a couple other celebrity people.
I believe too. I believe Selena Gomez is in a liminal space, and I think there's another entity that's taking over her, and I think she's like in the back. Same with Ariana Grande, almost like, but less possessed. I feel like Ariana Grande. This is all alleged for entertainment purposes. Only two crazy witches on the internet, like
very, very, very allegedly.
Very alleged.
Yeah. I always like to say there's a really big reason why the Thank You Next Ariana and the one we've been seeing through Wicked and everything is so incredibly different. And she, in her music, openly talks about meditating, manifestation, doing spells and stuff like that. Yeah. That, again, I think these celebrities are trusting certain individuals who are leading them astray and having them get into certain things where they're losing their true sense, their true aura, and something else is in there. Something else is taking control.
I have heard some other psychics say a specific like rill is inside Ariana Grande. I'm not sure what exactly the entity's called. I don't know. But when I look at her, I can see that she's in an incredible like sadness space of like just, I mean, she's lost. Okay. I feel like she's still there, but she's very lost. And I think there's entities feeding off of her. But this is the thing. Okay. I want to talk about the celebrity thing. I want to talk about the entities attached to music and media as well that are draining your energy. So, but okay, so how do I want to go at this from which angle? Because it's so interesting. So you have a video on basically Euphoria, right? I think it went quite viral. I think that's how I refound you again on Instagram. But
yeah,
you basically say, and I don't watch, girl, I don't have Netflix. I'm so kind of removed sometimes from media that I'm like, and I feel like I that can sound really lame, but I swear I still have fun in my life. It's just like I don't really watch too much media, but. So I've never watched Euphoria, okay? Never felt drawn to it, but I know it's very big and I know a lot of young people watch it. I'm in my 30s now, so I'm maybe in a different space, I don't know. But it sounds like, so you're saying that they have some sort of witchcraft, like negative witchcraft and like negative entities there to siphon your energy when you watch it or something like that. Explain.
Yes. Okay. So I love the show originally, watched it first season, second season. Nothing was weird energetically going on. I didn't have any bad experiences, and a lot of people have said the same thing. Was some of the content very graphic? Yes. That's the whole premise and nature of the show. If you yourself get triggered by SA, any type of substance usage or anything like that, of course you're going to have not the best time watching that type of a show, and that could go for any form of media. However, between the original seasons, there was other people in production, other people like Petra Collins involved with the show that really shaped and formed the show for what it was and its true storyline. However, between the second and the third season, a lot of stuff happened, namely one of the really famous actors, Angus Clout, dying, which affected the plot line, how the story would be written. And a lot of people have spoken out against Sam Levinson and certain actions and behaviors that he does in him as an individual, as well as what was going on when the other show, The Idol, was coming out, how that was hyper sexualized. Some people have asked me about the show. I don't like it. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything bad in that media. But from the response of how people liked to watch such a controversial show, The Idol, and Sam Levinson also had work with that, when it came back to season 3 of Euphoria, I've been saying, this is alleged, I don't know confirmed. I've seen a couple articles talking about this, where Zendaya specifically had a lot of pushback against her character, what was going on in the writing, because she used to be an executive producer for the show. For season 3, it is confirmed she was not signed on as an executive producer. And from how she has done the press tour and other things that she has said, a lot of people have speculated that she's not happy with the ending. She had pushback with the writing, and she kind of really just detached herself from the direction that Sam Levinson was going because of how his writing is. And in my personal opinion, I agree with the take where people said he wanted to just be Tarantino and kind of took Euphoria from what it originally was and made it into his own Euphoria style, like Tarantino kind of a movie. And that's how it played out in this season. And I think with Zendaya not being an executive producer, Labyrinth, who his music really made the show, because he did these wonderful, artistically made songs that really drove the experience when you're watching Euphoria, because it's shot gorgeously. And when you have really beautiful videography and the music is really immersive, you get drawn into the show. So you don't need any outside source to make it a good thing to watch and have a lot of viewer retention. So first season, second season had Labyrinth, had Zendaya as an executive producer. There was a lot of really things going on with it. However, season 3, he also didn't agree, and he's publicly spoken about him disagreeing with everything going on and not being treated well. So he removed all of his music last minute, and I believe they replaced him with Hans Zimmer, who another wonderful musician. But Hans Zimmer's style of music compared to Labyrinth is like night and day. It's very different. So you're getting rid of the music that makes the show. You're not getting the cosign from a phenomenal, very well-known actress who really is making the show. Zendaya's character, Rue, main character of the entire show, and drives it, and you're, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, butchering her character, doing something that Zendaya is not agreeing with. And Sam Levinson really pushed the pornographic aspect of it. There was a lot of nudity. There was a lot of it looked just like full on pornographic content and things like that in the show. So I think when they finished everything and had all of the wrapping tape and it was packaged, they saw it, and I'm assuming, I've heard from some people who know others in the industry, they'll have people watch the entire show. They'll have people watch the footage before it's released, before they start going on promotion, to see how it will be received. I'm assuming that went poorly, and Sam's sitting there like, we spent all this money making the show. We have these big name people. The musician who was a part of it left. I fear that we're going to lose money on what's going on. So what do? You go call a witch. You call a witch to essentially, because this happens all of the time within like movie sets, media, especially because there's a lot of media within Hollywood talking about psychic stuff or talking about witchcraft. And sometimes they will actually hire real psychics, real witches to teach the actors what to do while they're filming, or just to observe what's going on set, essentially. So it's not an uncommon thing in the industry overall, and it's spoken about. He called a witch, I'm assuming, to say, save the show. Save the show, because I need people to sit here and give me validation because this is my show and I want it to do well, is my opinion, allegedly, is what I'm thinking happened. So I don't think the actors knew anything about this. I don't think anything went on while they were filming. I think that in the editing room, when all the footage was done, there was a witch doing a lot of energy work and doing spells and rituals to embed and imbue specific spells in the media and the content. Because I like to tell people, they ask me, well, how is that even possible? Quantum physics. We can get scientific. There's science behind this. If you break down what quantum physics is, and that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, in quantum physics, there is something called quanta, which is the smallest particle that is needed to create energy. And all you need is light and some sort of movement, essentially. And that could be done literally with your breath, with your intention. So when you have this energy that cannot be created nor destroyed, you can embed it and imbue the intention in the files, in the programming of the footage itself. The same way how somebody could take regular water and speak their intentions over it, and what you're saying and the intentions will change the molecular structure of the water, and people have tested that out, like saying nice things or bad things and then freezing, and it freezes differently. The same thing will go for a spell in media. So when somebody's casting these spells and saying these things, they're breathing this quanta energy into the files and the footage, and it gets trapped. That's also why some people watch a horror movie, because the actors either on set were doing spells that were real, and that's like, oh, you're watching somebody do something and a spell's taking place, and poof, the energy manifests in real life because a spell was cast, or they were basically summoning types of like demonic entities or spirits that are also like, oh, if I can cling and attach onto this show file, like I'm living, like it's like a living piece of life recorded in media. That's why things are affecting you after watching stuff. So with Euphoria, he was like, let me call up this witch. She's going to do the spell, put it in the show. And it was done, and I believe cast over the very, very graphic, pornographic moments, and also other very just graphic moments overall, because a lot of people, and what they were saying if in like comment section and just DMing me about it, was they were like, I'm watching this disgusting thing. I feel horrified, but I can't look away. I feel like I can't look away, and I'm staying the entire time. And then by the time that they're finished watching the episode, anytime you have some sort of emotional reaction, that's your energy being siphoned and taken to funnel and feed the spell to make it stronger and keep going, is one. And two, a lot of people would have dreams afterwards of the cast members trying to hurt them, assault them, R-word them, like a bunch of different things, which is the after effects of the spell taking place and carrying on over into the astral for the energy body, for it to keep siphoning for things. So the compounding of this, by putting the spell in the show itself, it'll make people sit and stay instead of like dropping off halfway in an episode, leaving the season. And even if you felt disgust, because so many people have had very strong reactions and said that they're disgusted, disturbed, they don't like the show. However, they still watched it, and they get paid off of the viewership, not if you like it or not. So that's why that's in there, to keep you hooked. and to take the energies. And I believe probably, allegedly, there was also a spell cast that was not, there was one cast to keep you sitting there watching everything. There was another cast to take the energy from the sitting and watching to make the show popular, to make Sam Levinson money, allegedly, and to, keep it going. Because from what we can see from Labyrinth publicly saying that he had problems with the show and left, Zendaya not being an executive producer, it doesn't seem like the actor team themselves is necessarily happy with how the show turned out. And so when you're having your own actors not necessarily being happy with what's being created, how can you expect the general audience to for something that's not just an original show, but the last season of a very well-loved show?
Wow. Wow. I mean, so many things that you bring up that are so important. A lot of people think this is craziness. I mean, if you think this is so crazy, then this is not the podcast for you, because obviously this is a place where we explore all these mystical things, okay, whether you believe them or not. But I cannot stress enough how naive people are when they think that these big corporations and these media companies and Hollywood do not know witchcraft or do not know spirituality. And they can't, like, a lot of these very powerful people, for good or for bad, depending on the person, they utilize spirituality, like whether you believe it or not, like it is happening. So one of the things I just want people to kind of like obviously understand themselves more, right? Like with this show, like I don't care if you agree with this or not, but like I want you to question the things that you believe in, and I want you to kind of like, search your own heart, what feels right for you and all that stuff. So I kind of like to stress that, when people are like, I cannot imagine celebrities like going to witches, and like, yes, girl, they're doing it. And like, if you had the money and the fame and you needed protection, and even if you wouldn't believe in it and you would be a skeptic, wouldn't you do that too? Like, I don't know, like even me as a tarot reader. Exactly. And like even me as a tarot reader, like I love tarot. Like imagine I don't know, like so many people and successful big business people use tarot as well, and astrology. Like we know that.
Yes.
But okay, just back to the thing. Okay, so I do not watch any like terrifying shit, because I am so terrified, girl. Like I get distressed by like thrillers. I can hardly watch thrillers, or like even like a little bit of like action movies already like throw me off sometimes. So what I do is I put, even because I never watch horror. I mean, like I would rather no. So what I do is when I watch anything like a thriller or like a little bit of that's not a comedy or whatever, right? I put like a veil of protection around the screens. Even when my like husband is watching that shit, he doesn't know that, but I put like protection over his screen too. Like I'm very like, I do that stuff, right? So I just to make sure that these energies do not siphon and like attach themselves to us, because like because I think there's like some sort of difference, right? Like everything has energy in it. So even when you watch this podcast right now, there's an energy attached to this, because it is everything is energy. But so where's the difference there? And like, so I don't know, maybe you can even give some other examples of like forms of media that have like, let's say just an energy that can kind of drain you, but just because it's a draining topic, or like, as you said, with Euphoria, where you feel like it is actually spell cast, or like, in the was it Vampire Diaries? I don't know which one it is, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, where they accidentally had real spells and then it actually had an effect. So like, I think, I don't know. Can we talk about this?
It's funny you mentioned the Vampire Diaries. I had a lot of people reaching out to me afterwards with Vampire Diaries. I need to talk about that like in length. But yes, with Vampire Diaries, they were having them recite actual real Latin spells, Latin chants, which anytime there's something that is an actual real witchcraft or occult practice, you are practicing it in real life. The energy doesn't know that you're acting on a TV show. It thinks you're doing it for real. So people will summon stuff. Like I love to give the example of American Horror Story, the Coven season, because they got so much into voodoo and Papa Legba, and they were practicing voodoo. I am not initiated in it, so I can't really speak too much. But from what I've heard is that they were doing improper practices or not the correct voodoo practices, and really angered Papa Legba, that spirit, that deity. And things went haywire on the set, as people know. And this happens all of the time. And I like to say that there's a lot of really ignorant screenplay writers, directors, producers who, instead of just making up something, like if you look at Harry Potter is 1,000% perfectly safe. Why? Because they made up everything. It's a fake system of magic. You can look at real occult knowledge and just tweak it so that it's fake. You don't have to resort to using real occult practices because the actors on set are then in danger and things like that. And there's actually a Korean movie, and I'm forgetting what it's called. I think it's called the Homa or something. It's a Korean shamanism movie where they were having the actors do real shamanistic practices in the movie. They had a real life shaman on set. And because the actor was doing such a good job in the scene that they were filming, they summoned something. And the shaman was like, everybody needs to stop filming. I need to go take care of that. That is the only proper and ethical way, in my opinion. If you want to include real practices, you need a real life person to help if something weird goes on. But a lot of these producers, directors will write in real things, have these actors do real things. They don't have somebody who's a professional to come and help if a problem arises. And then stuff happens on set and there's all of these different things. And because media and videos and recordings are trapping that energy of the people acting, it stays there forever type of a thing. But for something else, a big thing that people don't realize is music. And music could be draining you, not even intentionally. I like to tell people that the reason why sometimes if, let's say you want to cry and you're having a really, really hard time crying, you put your favorite sad song on and all of a sudden you can cry. It's not because the music is all of a sudden making you more emotional. It's because the person singing the song was most likely sad when they recorded it and they put that energy of sadness into it. And you unknowingly are siphoning the energy out of the music. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. It just happens because energy is real and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just stays there. So when you're listening to a lot of music that has very, very graphic lyrics or maybe very, very depressing songs over and over and over and over again and nothing else, you could find yourself becoming more susceptible to being sad or really angry and just doing certain events or actions because you're unintentionally siphoning out that energy. And that's just from the perspective of the lyrics or the energy the person that they were in recording it, because there's also frequencies and how certain frequencies naturally affect the human mind, the human body. And certain celebrities, I believe it was Michael Jackson who famously spoke about this when he was still alive, about how they're altering and changing some of the frequencies in the music industry as the baseline to make people more receptive to certain things, to make people more addicted to certain things, and how the scales, the Saveggio, I always say that word wrong. I think it's a Saveggio scale with all of the different frequencies on it. They will affect the mind and the body in different types of way. And music used to be made on 432 hertz, I believe, which is the purest vibration. It's the natural vibration. It brings healing, brings calmness to the body, and it's very, very good for humans. Yeah, 432.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
For that frequency it used to be the standard in all of the music. And apparently at some point they switched it to a higher or lower frequency so that all of the music that we're consuming is affecting us in some way, shape, or form. Yes. And again, just with TV used to be called, or what it really is television programming, because it has the subliminal messages of things being added in with the frequencies of what you're watching. And that just has to do with the music and the frequency and the delta waves and everything that's embedded within there. But this type of stuff, honestly, goes so deep, because this even can go as far as when you start getting into psychology and marketing tactics. Disney World loves to pump out a very specific scent to get you. They say it's meant to get you to either want to stay or spend money or be hungry or whatever the case may be. But because, again, your whole body, all of your senses also have an energetic relation and tied to them. And the senses are what helps you tap into your psychic or spiritual abilities. If you're having a specific smell be ruminated out through an entire place, it could get you and influence you in different ways, or subconsciously be affecting you almost the same way a spell would, because it's energy.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking right now because sense of smell is so crazy. It's so tied to people's memories as well. Think about McDonald's. Just an example of that's not even food. I don't know what that is, but it makes you feel nostalgic or something. I was just thinking, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, I used to date this music producer once who actually produces music for quite the famous, some pop music. And he told me these frequencies make people sick. And he said it makes the singer sick as well. Like it's mentally deranged and it makes people, it makes them sick. It makes, like, he did not listen to music at all. He was against all music. This is a music producer, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. Just a story from a woo-woo girlie on the internet, okay? Take it or leave it, girl. But I'm just saying, like, this is crazy. So I'm thinking, okay, because like there are some people, like allegedly for entertainment purposes only, Taylor Swift, where I'm not a fan of her. Obviously I like some of her songs, okay? But every time she shows up on my feed and I watch like a little clip of her singing on stage, I get emotional in a specific way that only happens to me when I watch Taylor Swift. I don't care about this woman. I mean, not positively or negatively, no shade. I don't care either way about her. I don't hate her. I don't love her. Okay, nothing. Okay. I watched this video of her on stage, and the specific way it makes me feel with Taylor Swift specifically is I feel like, oh my God, she is so, like, I'm trying to verbalize the frequency I'm picking up when I watch it. It's like, oh my God, she's just so wonderful and she's just trying so hard and she's, like, it makes me feel like that. Like, what the hell? I don't know this woman. I don't care. I'm not a fan. She's a billionaire. I'm sure she has enough money to take care of herself. Like, why do I feel that way? As if I have to, like, support her because she's such a good person or something. Like, for sure. I mean, not for sure. This is just my, allegedly again, from my own opinion, but there's something tied to her music that makes you feel empathetic towards her or something. How do you feel about that, girl?
I have a couple things with Taylor Swift. I do have a couple things with her. A fun little Lucifer fact that I will like to throw in back with like the demon stuff is that for certain musicians, deities will actually like to inspire a lot of musicians. And this isn't just music. This is also for athletes or anybody who gets into that zone state, flow state. This happens quite a lot actually with a lot of authors where a deity will have a certain either song they want to put out or a certain story that they want to have out into the humanly world. So I like to say influence them where they'll kind of, it's not possession. I like to call it channeling, where in spiritual practices, you are connecting with the deity or spirit and you're allowing them into your mind, into your body to use you as a vessel, as a tool, essentially. But when these artists and these musicians and people are getting to these flow states, their mind is so malleable that the deities and spirits will give them the inspiration. Michael Jackson famously liked to say, oh, if I have inspiration for a song, I have to get up in the middle of the night before God, Jesus gives it to Prince. And it's the same concept, basically. MJ was onto things. He really was. Yeah. And so for Taylor Swift, Lucifer said that he's influenced a couple of her songs and a couple other musicians as well, but her specifically just because she's so well known that the song would be played out. And a lot of different deities do this as well. But her, I don't know if this is public knowledge or not. And if it's not public knowledge, this is just my opinion. You know, she's a witch. Taylor Swift is a witch. She's done a lot of different woo-woo witchy things, I believe, throughout the years. And I am 1,000%. Her and a couple other celebrity artists and musicians will do glamour magic and they'll glamour themselves in specific ways before, especially when they're performing on stage for their music videos. And honestly, with how glamour magic works, you could also glamour into music as well. It's all about that intention energy and knowing what you're doing. And 1,000% specific individuals like Taylor Swift, where they have such strong fan bases and they're known for such a specific reason and way, it's due to the glamour magic. Because a lot of people like to say with Taylor Swift on, oh, she's, older in her 30s and all this stuff. Why is she still singing about heartbreak? Why has she never changed or evolved this whole time? Because if she does that, she breaks the glamour. What's feeding the spells and the rituals is the repetitiveness of the types of songs she's singing about, because she knows that's what's fueling the emotions and what's relating her to her fan base, who, when she's going and performing at these concerts, who's feeding into the glamour wards, feeding into the glamour music, the energy of her fans when they're at the concerts. The Swifties are so strong and so staunch because of the glamour magic. Obviously, they could like her just in general, but it's that feeling and that energy of being enamored and her putting a specific persona, because some people like to associate glamour magic with, oh, like siren core or beauty, or like, oh, this is going to get me a man, this and that. That's one part of it. Glamour at face value could basically essentially be coming off as very alluring. Glamour actually is coming back and originating from way back in the day over in the British area in Scotland, Ireland, and England, because it's associated and originating from the Fae, and how people with folktales and stories like to talk about how the Fae would be very alluring, very beautiful, but they would take you and do something bad to you if you interacted with them, specifically within Ireland and Scotland, those folk stories.
Yes.
And so the word glamour is coming from a Scottish word is in the origination, and the practice itself is just to be an illusion. It's meant to be an illusion. So the illusion just doesn't have to be beautifulness or beauty and sex and all of those different things. The illusion could be to cloak yourself. If you're a woman, if you want to be portrayed as a man, you could use glamour magic to make yourself appear as a man to other people. You could cloak yourself using glamour magic so that you're unseen from other people. You could even go as far as to use glamour magic to cast an illusion and make yourself seem as a very beautiful, innocent person, when in reality, that's not you at all. Which is allegedly what I think Taylor Swift is doing, a certain illusion, a certain glamour to be perceived in a specific way by people, by the media. And I also do think, and you know, I have no opinion about her. Whatever your opinion about this is perfectly fine. Anybody watching this, I think Beyonce also does this.
Oh my God.
She has publicly talked about her cultural spiritual practices and stuff like that. That's been out and about. And I believe her sister Solange as well. So a lot of these artists are doing these glamours and things on purpose so that their fan base and the media and people are perceiving them in a specific way. So 1,000%, like Taylor Swift, I would not be surprised, especially because she loves the charts and the numbers and will release something the same day as another really big artist to chart as number one. I would not be surprised if she's super into this and keeping it going for a while and a long time.
Yeah. I also heard another psychic say that Taylor Swift apparently, allegedly, works with a powerful witch who actually also protects her, and she has this aura of protection apparently around her, which obviously, if you're that much in the limelight, you should have either yourself or go to someone who knows how to do that, because even I do protection and I have like not even 500 subscribers. So I'm just saying, like, it's not natural for humans to be seen by thousands of people. It's just weird. Honestly, it is weird. We're not meant to be seen by so many people. So, but yeah, that's really interesting with the glamour magic. So I want to talk a bit about that. Okay, we're back. We were just, I feel like, interrupted as soon as we started talking about some celebrities. But the story I wanted to tell there just real quick again about the glamour magic, okay? So I feel like some people have this aura about them, this energy about them, where unknowingly they have the kind of energy that either is almost like a glamour spell just because they're so confident and feel so beautiful. I had a friend who, when we were in a little group even, she would just like not be visible to me. And I literally couldn't see her. I was like, where is she? And she would like stand right there, you know, and it was just like 4 people around. So I feel like it came from specific trauma with her specifically because she didn't want to feel seen and she felt more safe not being seen. Like that's kind of how I related to that when we talked about glamour magic. And I feel like, so when we talk about glamour magic, I know there's some like famous celebrities, obviously, who, you know, people say they do the glamour magic. And can someone literally, I guess someone could literally completely like cast a spell just to enhance their beauty or just to make people think they're more beautiful? Or could they also completely kind of make themselves look different?
Yes, that is 1,000% possible. And it's a little bit of glamour magic specifically. You're obviously doing it with intention. It's going to be for a period of time or for a specific amount of time. So let's say if you're going to be using a glamour and you want people to perceive you a specific way, how you could really easily do that is by doing your makeup and setting certain intentions while you're doing your makeup. Like, oh, when people see me, I'm the most beautiful person they've ever seen. Or if you don't really want to be seen, you could say I'm hidden from anybody who it would be negative, anything negative energy type of thing while you're doing your makeup to protect yourself. And as soon as you wash your makeup off, then it's gone and you're being back to normal. But what also could be done, and especially if we're talking about childhood traumas and things like that, it has to do with your aura and more so energy work. So for certain people, how your aura will play out and how that works is either from self-limiting beliefs, from childhood trauma and things like that. You could dim your own aura for your own protection, or your spirit guides could be doing that for you as well to keep you safe in a very, let's say, toxic or abusive environment so that you're unseen, so that you're a little bit more safe. And once you start to heal, once you start to release those wounds, and what I like to tell people specifically with a lot of the magic, or when I'm casting spells for people, my spell work always includes energy work, because what I'm doing to actually make the spell work effective, and how I myself have personally become a powerful witch in what I'm doing, and how people have told me that they get results and this, that, and the third, and everything's working for them, is the energy work in tandem with the healing of trauma. Because every time, everybody knows the body stores trauma, there's a lot of different wounds and things like that. And when we get into the energetic system, the chakra system, or the chi, like the different meridian points in the body, when you have certain types of trauma, the chi stagnates, you get blockages and things like that. So that needs to be removed in order to let the energy flow freely, which allows you to either enchant your aura, to project it outwards, to expand the light that's inside of you, that is magnetic, that draws people towards you. So it's a lot of healing with the blockages and the trauma work as well. So I always say, if you want to become a witch and you genuinely want to cast spell work, because this is like the secret little thing that people don't know, just lighting candles and putting herbs isn't going to do anything. That's so controversial. It's so controversial, and people hate me when I say that. They're like, what do you mean? I set my intention. I lit the candle. Do 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 do. If something's happening for you, it's because your spirit guide, your ancestor, an angel is doing the energy work for you. So they see you when you're like putting all the herbs and lighting the candles, or putting a little jar together, and they're like, oh, like, look what they're doing. I'm going to help them and do the energy work for them. That's why I give people the example too. Cord cuttings, if you go to a Reiki healer, they could cut your cords, but witches also do cord cutting spells. I'm really known for cord cuttings because I do it a lot with shadow work and trauma healing. I do energy work, the same that a Reiki master would be doing, to actually cut your cords. The spells and the candles, it only really represents a physicality of things happening here on earth. So it's either to help use a little bit of the energy from the herbs, from the candles and stuff like that, to help you, like, get in the mood, help with the energy work, or it's just helping manifest the results a little bit quicker down here and stuff like that. So back with the glamour of everything. You don't necessarily need to cast glamour magic to enchant your aura or things like that. Why do so many people say that a woman or somebody glows after they leave a toxic relationship? Because they're not dimming their light anymore. They're not being drained anymore. They're safe, and their energy is coming back out of them again. And that's just naturally your aura becoming more magnetic the more that you connect with yourself. And more often than not, what's happening when people leave a toxic relationship? They go to therapy or they heal. So that's the natural intrinsic energy work, the shadow work happening to alchemize, to transform in your life. So the glamours, I like to say, it's a little bit more intentional. It's for that very specific thing. It's for that very specific time frame. But from what you said from your friend, it sounds like they wanted to be cloaked. They wanted to be hidden to feel safe. And that as they grew up, if they started to heal certain things and become more confident, naturally, that's what's going to come out. And for certain people, if you listen to subliminals specifically, or go to Reiki energy healers, what they're helping you do is release the blockages and helping you release the self-limiting beliefs and things in your subconscious mind, so that naturally your energy is coming out. And that's what's enchanting. That's what's the aura of you. And the brain and the mind is so, so, so powerful. I've been listening to subliminal since I was 15, and literally I like side note, I can give you the photos and you could put it in the video. I look like a completely different person from subliminals and healing, especially my like mother wounds and stuff.
Oh,
Healing that, I look like a completely different person.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Girl, I'm going to have you on again because we have so much to talk about, but I just want to say about that too. Like, trauma literally makes you look shitty, like in whatever way. Like when we talk about from an energy healing perspective about like acne is about feeling attacked. Okay, like this is very woo-woo. Okay, you can take this or leave it, but acne is about, you see it specifically in people who have been mentally, emotionally, or physically abused. And I used to have acne like on my cheeks, and like not the big, I had the little ones, like a lot of little acne spots. And I tried everything, girl. I went to dermatologists. Okay, nothing worked until I did real deep shadow work. All of a sudden my skin clears up. Like this shit works. Okay. Like, so I'm always like, if we can do the deep energetic healing work, and I love that you combine the witchcraft with the energy work, which I guess that's what they should do anyways, because as you said, like, I mean, casting spells.
All of its energy at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a different form of, because I had this manifestation teacher on the show, Master Manifestess. I love her. Shout out to her. And we talked a little bit about, is it witchcraft? Is it not? It's like, and she said like, yeah, I mean, it is whatever. Manifestation is, you know, is a form of, like, you could say witchcraft is a form of manifestation. Prayer is a form of manifestation or
manifestation.
Witchcraft. So I love how you talk about that. And I think these things are so important that you go like deeper, right? But when we look at like witchcraft, right? And like people who don't know much about it, I think there's so much. I just want to touch on this for sure on this episode. What are some misconceptions that you feel about witchcraft as a witch?
So the funny thing with being a witch, right, is that I feel like for a lot of people, it's an intrinsic thing that somehow deep down inside they know it from when they're young. Funny enough for me, as much as I was in like such a staunch Catholic type of a family that like my family hates Halloween, anything that has to do with like anything spooky, creepy, they don't like it. But they would let me dress up for Halloween every single year I wanted to be a witch. I was a witch as a kid. I was always super into like magic and spells and like Harry Potter and everything as a child. So as soon as I got older and I realized you can do that in real life, I was like, wow, this is incredible, insane. The thing though with witches, and I like to really say that this is more new age spirituality, and how in the past couple years how it's blown up in a lot of people. I see every single day, especially on Instagram, how to be a witch, beginner witch, this, that, and the third. And it's these tutorials and it's everything that looks beautiful and aesthetic. And from face value, I think it's helpful in a way. It'll teach you how to set up specific petitions or do little candle spells and herbs and things like that. But it's not going deeper into the surface. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that a lot of people think witches are these people who sit in front of like a little cauldron and they're like putting stuff together and doing a potion, or they're running through a forest all single day, or that it's this aesthetic. I think that's the big thing. They look at social media, specifically places like Instagram, where it's very glamorized. And we just talked about glamour magic, and that's a part of it too, but it's being misconcepted and misconstrued in a sense as, I would almost say, a cheat code. Because for a lot of people who are genuinely into the craft, who have bloodline ties with it, who are very deeply esoteric in nature, understand that the entire point and purpose of it, witchcraft is a very radical thing. It's been used throughout various different forms of cultures and points in history. And I always love to bring back and tie in a little bit with how deities, angels, and everything are for specific people and specific cultures. Where did we as human beings get the knowledge of witchcraft and magic? It was from the things that we believed in, that we prayed into. And for a lot of cultural practices, like if you're talking about something like hoodoo or santeria, things like that were born out of slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and very, very horrific times of life, where when you're sitting there and you're praying to what you believe in, when you're combining the fact that you have faith in something and you're needing help, you're blending all of this together and asking for, how do I, like, if you're in the position of slavery, how do I fight back against the master? How do I fight back against me being oppressed in this? And that's where a lot of these seers and witches and shamans and people get these downloads and do specific things to help them. And that's certain practices that happen within different African countries, within the Caribbean islands, just all over the world, that have been affected by such oppression in certain points in time. Certain practices will be demonized and villainized. That's another really big misconception, that if you're not practicing a specific type of witchcraft, you're demonic or evil. Anything that isn't seen as love and light is demonic and evil. And that is one of the worst things because social media has glamorized, oh, we want crystals and love and light and purity. And I find it, as somebody who grew up very staunchly Catholic, that has repressed shame and healing from repressed shame from that specifically. A lot of new age spirituality, or these love and light witches that toast and talk about stuff, it's repackaged puritanical culture. It's almost like a repackaging of evangelical types of methodologies and ways of thinking. Because if you're not posting like, oh guys, look at my little money candle spell, do 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 do. If you're talking about a cultural practice, that sometimes animal sacrifice is used. Sometimes that is used, but there's a very specific reason for it. The animal is honored in a very specific way. A lot of different they're called ETRs, African traditional religions, will have their different types of ways of doing witchcraft or spirituality. And if the Western lens of people seeing that posted online, they'll say it's demonic, they'll say it's the devil, it's awful.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's just their natural culture and what they were taught from their wisdom, from their culture, from their deities, and what to do for them. So it's this negative stigma about if it's not aesthetic, if it's not a specific way, that it's all of a sudden bad. And there is even division and misconceptions just within the witchcraft community in and of itself, because there's constantly debates about where certain things are coming from. There's constant types of prejudice almost for different things that you're practicing and what you're not practicing. And what I think the biggest thing for anybody who genuinely is a witch and really connects with it, they understand that it's just a tool. It's a tool for some sort of self-improvement or the betterment of your life and those around you, no matter what you're doing, because there's a lot of witches who will connect very deeply with the earth. And it's not just an Instagram reel or a YouTube video about, guys, look at me running in the forest. It's about them genuinely connecting with nature, with spirits, because it heals them in some way, shape, or form. And the same thing can be said for people who are very deeply working with things in the ocean, for people who are really cooking. Kitchen witchery is a really big thing. There's a lot of people who do spells just with the foods that you're cooking. That's their way of life, and that's just what's helping them manifest, or helping them to release, helping them to transmute and alchemize. And no matter what you're calling it in any way, shape, or form, it's just something that is there to help you. It's
Yeah.
there to help you. And the main point I find, after studying so many religions, so many different types of witchcraft, the main point of all of it is to come back to self and to realize and recognize who you were before you were hurt or before the world traumatized you. That's the whole point of it. Because why are you casting spells necessarily for money? It's not that you need the money per se. What you're really doing and what you're attracting is you're attracting the abundance that's already owed to you. But because of how life is so difficult, how life is so awful, sometimes, you could have just lost your job. You could have grown up in poverty or very financially hard situations. For a lot of those people, it's very, very difficult for them to think about, oh, I don't need to work so hard for money, or this, that, and the third, or anything a manifestation coach may tell them, because they're still in survival mode. They're still in
Yes.
survival mode. And so doing the spell is something that will psychologically help them understand, okay, I'm doing something, I really believe in it, it's going to work for me. And that in and of itself is the manifestation, but it's that practice of I'm getting something that's going to help me with my human experience.
Yeah.
And I'd say like the last misconception from very, very recent years, or if you, and I've been speaking about this online as well, if you're only getting witchcraft advice or knowledge online and not doing any sort of research offline, talking to other people in real life, doing any, or just, your own practice, your own experiences of things, you'll find that it's very glamorized and almost some sort of cheat code to certain outcomes you want. So there's a lot of things about do this little spell and all of a sudden you're going to be like a multimillionaire. That's not necessarily how it works. Do this little spell and all of a sudden you're going to have your specific person, you're going to have a boyfriend. Do this specific type of a spell and, oh, look, that person who's harassing you, you're going to hex and curse them and they're going to pass away, or something very extreme. It's very sensationalized versions of what witchcraft is. It's, in my opinion, abusing spiritual and esoteric knowledge for very petty and childish things. Because when you're tying in the fact that you need energy work to actually make anything happen within spell work, is my personal opinion, what my mentors have taught me as well, what is actually happening, because everything at the end of the day is interconnected through energy. You need some form of that, but you also need the breaking down of the ego. because the ego is what's a lot of people taking these types of knowledge and just willy-nilly applying it when every action, or what is it? Every action has a reaction. That type of universal law. And so even if you don't necessarily believe in karma, I very, very much believe in karma, and whether that's bad, neutral, good karma, every time you do something, there's going to be some sort of an outcome from it. So if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm going to go on social media, I'm going to get this spell, he's going to text me, this guy is going to text me, probably what's happening is your astral self are going and visiting them in the astral during sleeping time, and you're like, oh, hey, talk to me, message me, and that's why magically you'll get a little message or a text. It's not really the, oh, guys, do this little manifestation method or do this spell. That's more than likely what's going on there. But you could just pick up the phone. Do you need to sit there paying somebody to do a spell for you, to get somebody to text you back? Girl, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Like, and this is the thing. People are seeing it as such a sensationalized quote unquote cheat code that you forget that you could pick up the phone and call the person. Like, why are we doing this? If they didn't block you and there's like no logical answer, like instead of being there like, oh, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to manifest so hard, I'm going to do this spell, I'm going to do whatever, call them. Call them. And if the person isn't naturally calling you and texting you and they don't want to be with you, then that's their loss. That's their loss, and you dodged a bullet. But you could have just called them this entire time. And this is the thing that it's like,
yeah, it's so funny.
People forget that we're humans and we can do things.
I swear, but it's also like, I do get the manifestation girlies though who want to manifest a specific person, because I'm like, yeah, you don't want to be the person who calls them. You want them to call you, girl. Okay, we get it. I'm not against that necessarily, but yeah, it is calling, like you are talking about this kind of like, almost like people don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know how that they have sovereignty and that they can just pick someone up and be like, hey, we need to talk. You actually really hurt me or whatever. But I also get it. I also get it though, because I've been with some of these toxic men who literally cannot communicate. They cannot be on the phone with you. They will hang up on you and whatever. You know?
1,000%. I will say that I personally, like, having said all of that, I have done specific spells or done certain things with clients of mine who need the help for it, because at the end of the day, the same way how you have the free will to pick up the phone and call the person, the other person has the free will to not answer your phone call, type of a deal. So sometimes in specific situations, yes, go ahead and do that. But the biggest thing that seems to be lost on like new age witches or people who are trying to get into witchcraft with a lot of content people are talking about online is that it's very important to do divination or to connect with spirit, with yourself in some way, shape, or form, something higher than you, even if that's just your higher self, and connecting internally with your own energy, is asking yourself, should I really be casting this spell? Should I really be doing that? Because a lot of the times, and people who, when they're learning about this type of stuff, and especially working with like angels or spirit guides overall, it's if you sit down and you connect with them and ask them to give you some type of a sign, do tarot cards with them, divination in some way, shape, or form, and you do this before you cast the spell, not only are you saving yourself ingredients if the answer is no, so you didn't have to waste a candle and all the herbs and everything, but then you're doing it from a grounded perspective, because that's also a very, very important thing, is to be grounded, to connect with oneself, to connect with the earth and the spirits and just the energy of what you're around. Because I am of the belief, as somebody who's a Luciferian, works with Lucifer, is very, very for free will, I don't think that any magic takes away free will. I think that magic itself, let's say, especially in the terms of karma or doing certain types of spells like jinxes, hexes, or curses, if somebody did you so dirty that you feel a need to go ahead and cast a curse on them or something like that, I am of the belief that whatever happens to them as the result of that isn't just you magically, like, let's say they get into a really bad car accident. It's not you magically willing a car accident into their life. I think you're just speeding along what karmically was already going to come to them. So let's say they themselves have a lot of bad karma from doing something really, really bad. You casting the spell of the energy just helps that to manifest or attract quicker, because it was going to come to them regardless of your involvement or not. So that's why for some people, why they sit there and they say, oh, I don't need to cast a spell. Like, oh, you thought I cursed you? That's just your own karma. I think that's very true. And when you're sitting there doing the witchcraft, it just speeds it up naturally. I don't think anybody's artificially creating certain outcomes or things like that with the magic, because again, I think it truly just boils down to the energy of the flow of everything, how that's manifesting in life. And that honestly, spell work is just, I like to say it's instant manifestation, because it's one of the quickest ways for you to hone in on your intention, to really give a lot of energy and thought to whatever it is you're trying to do the spell for, to manifest it a lot quickly, a lot more quickly. And that goes and ties into reality shifting and shifting into your highest timeline and whatnot, because it's all just about vibrations and where you're resonating at from a vibrational level. And breaking that down into just like a really digestible concept is, if you're trying to manifest the love of your life, you could do all of the manifestation work, all of the subliminals, all of the spells. You could get all of the advice in the world. But if you yourself have a specific wound and you haven't healed from that, and you are internally scared of being vulnerable and being seen by somebody, you will not be at the same vibration to allow that person to ever come into your life. And that's where we start talking about nervous system healing, doing the shadow work, doing the trauma healing, to be in certain vibrations for manifestation. All of it becomes interconnected.
100%. I love how you touched on that too, because I feel like even if it did work, I feel like it can work. You can actually manifest a call or whatever, a person back or whatever. But can you have them stay? Can you be in a vibration of, I mean, whether or not you want that guy, okay, probably no. Like, we look from a higher perspective, like, is he even worth it, girl? 99% of the time, no, he's not worth it, okay? Because you want someone who already loves you and who wants to call you, who wants to communicate, or at least is willing to learn, because we're not perfect. And people have avoidant tendencies and anxious tendencies. It's okay. I'm really for commitment and, people trying to like, work things out as well. Like, it's not, it's not like you have to be perfect to like be able to date someone. But if someone is constantly showing you they don't care about you at all,
care
like,
about you?
Should you want them? Like, from a loving friend perspective, I would tell you, nah, girl, you deserve better. But okay. But even if you want to do that, I think you can do that. But as you said, the lasting effects and the long lasting, like, thing that feels good, and nervous system regulation and all that stuff is all real energy healing, real, trauma healing. I do shamanic soul retrieval, whatever is your thing. Okay. Whatever is your vibe. Like, those things really stay because you're looking at the root cause. Okay. And once you change that root cause in your energetic system, in your body, in your whatever spiritual body, in your soul, basically time traveling and whatever, healing it. Okay. Your past, it cannot have you will literally shift your reality, which is also reality shifting. And then this kind of stuff, you will kind of start attracting, let's say we keep on the topic of relationships, you will break the cycle of the toxic guy once you really do the inner work. I think a lot of people really in the manifestation community, there's two things I want to say about this. This is getting long and I love talking to you, but it's like, on one hand, if we look at the highest perspective, can you bypass something in a healthy way? Actually, yes, you can, because obviously on the highest level, this is a very high spiritual perspective that like most people who are not doing any inner work, any meditation, any spiritual will not really understand. But from an esoteric perspective, can you actually opt out of lessons? And can you actually say, just bypass something and be like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. Yes, you can. Are most people in the power and understanding and like awareness of spirituality to be able to do that? No. So the easiest way for most people is healing and therapy, honestly, and like working on themselves to get what they want, because most people are not on that. And like me included, like I need healing, like, because I know I could, because I have the awareness. Sometimes I can be in the space where I could do that, but it's like, do I want to do that? Because it's easier as a human to just do the healing and do the thing. And like, you know what I mean? So this is a very esoteric conversation, but I feel like in order for you to change your life, I mean, honestly, it's just easier to work with your trauma, with your pain, and with your feelings as a human. And it's kind of like, I mean, maybe that ties in full circle moment to the Luciferian thing of like, on the highest level, it's all an illusion, but isn't that unfair from a human perspective if we just bypass the pain? Isn't it easier to just work with it and like do a 1-hour healing session or whatever and then change your life through that? I mean, obviously, it doesn't even take that long, you know?
No, I love that you say that. I agree with that 1,000%, because a couple different things with that. I would say that I always love to say that like therapy is shadow work. I myself have been in trauma therapy for a long time because I have CPTSD and a myriad of other things going on with me. So I've been in active trauma therapy as my main source of shadow work for a long time. A wonderful thing. And even when you're doing shadow work types of healings, I always like to say, do therapy, or if you can't do therapy and you're into the whole spiritual thing, working with deities, there's specific deities like Lucifer who you can connect with and they will help you with the shadow work. You can do meditations with them where they will help do the energy healing for you, or you can just go to a regular shamanic healer, Reiki healer, whoever to get the energy work done. And that is honoring your human perspective. Because for me, as somebody who does this, I always like to say I'm professional at this because this is not just my job, it's my life. I have had very specific things happen in my life and very specific spiritual awakenings and coming to understand my life purpose, my soul purpose as being here on this earth to help enlighten people, guide people, help people in a very specific way. So everything that I do, every aspect, every facet of my life deals with spirituality, and the exchange for being a very powerful psychic, a very powerful witch, anything like that is healing and a lot of pain. Everything I truly believe in comes with a price. So for me, I've been abused in almost every single type of way you could think of and been through very, very horrific traumatic things repeatedly that I've been having to heal from. But in that process, unlocking my gifts, because for me specifically, and I would say as being a high priestess to Lucifer, not that this is necessarily a prerequisite, but for him and his story and everything he stands for, he always is the first one as a trailblazer on his path. Every single thing I've gone through in my life, I've been alone in it. I've had to suffer through it alone. I've had to heal through it alone. But because of that, when I have clients coming to me, their issues mirror mine to the point where they're like, oh, my dad passed away XYZ. And I sit here and I'm like, yeah, mine did too. I can help you because I went through it and this is how I did that type of a thing. And that's what it takes when you're doing it truly, genuinely, professionally, because some of the concepts and some of the things I've been taught, it's such high level types of esoteric knowledge that I understand like a myriad of different things, why we have suffering, why XYZ, especially like, I like to talk about assault and the R word. I was R worded when I was younger. I understand from a very spiritual soul level type of a thing why that occurred, and I can come to terms with that. But on a human level, as somebody who that physically happened to, I find it one of the most disrespectful and unethical things for you to ever look at somebody who's been abused in any way, shape, or form and to sit there and to say, your abuse happened for a reason. No, it didn't. No, it didn't, because how I was taught and how I like to say it, you learned a soul lesson out of that could have manifested in any way, shape, or form. You did not deserve that. You did not deserve that. That didn't necessarily need to happen. You're allowed to be human and grieve over it. Just because I understand something from a zoomed out lens, you're still human at the end of the day. And what I try to tell people, because I've gotten super, super deeply into Taoism and Buddhism, where a lot of the points of the spiritual practices are to become so detached from the human experience in order to achieve perfect enlightenment. You can do that, but you're not going to really be a human anymore. You're no longer having a human experience anymore, because that is why we have like deities and gods and all that stuff. They don't need the human aspect. You're still human. Have the human perspective. You don't need to be that enlightened. You don't need to live that type of way or deprive yourself of things. Like literally, I want to tell people, like, I was still psychic and I was still predicting people's births and marriages and stuff like that when I was eating Taco Bell. You could eat Taco Bell
Yes,
and still be
girl.
super spiritual.
Of
You don't
course.
have to go on like the whole, oh, I'm only eating vegetables and fruits type of a diet if you don't want to. There's certain people who will try to sell you that to be like, oh, you have to live such a specific lifestyle, but it's not necessary. It's
It is
really, really not necessary.
I love this rant. I'm right there with you. I just had a podcast episode about that where I was saying, do you know how psychopathic it is when someone comes to you and says, you know, this horrible thing happened to me? The first thing you can say is like, oh yeah, you manifested that. How can you take, yeah, on the highest level, yes, you did. Maybe in other people's like, you know, free will and whatever is playing into that too. And, you know, it's all the co-creation and whatever, but that is really, really psychopathic and honestly so not social to say that to someone, that it really irks me. And I love that we're talking about this.
I think it's true. It's really, really true in the sense of you can come to a certain spiritual topic or a spiritual concept and you can understand it and look at it from the lens of, oh, a godly being, a being that is not stuck here on earth, is teaching me or telling me this. However, I'm supposed to just take that almost as a euphemism, almost as inspiration, to apply it to my human experience, because it's not meant to be taken literally like that. And just as like a little side note, in me working with Jesus and reclaiming that part of me growing up and those like spiritual teachings and practices, because I like to tell people I'm not a part of any organized religion, because I find a lot of the trauma comes strictly from organized religions and their misinterpretations, and me connecting with the spirit of Jesus and stuff, being told, and him telling me the Bible was never meant to be taken seriously, or literally, it was only ever meant to be a collection of stories to help inspire or give insight to certain things that are happening in life. It wasn't meant to be taken so literal, and a lot of the mistranslations and things have gotten lost over time. So it's like if I ask him and I connect with him and I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I read in like my Bible growing up, and he's like, you don't need the Bible, you have me. When you connect with me, the spirit, you learn everything one-on-one. I'm telling you what you're supposed to be doing and my actual teachings. And same thing goes for Lucifer, anything else of this nature, of this time. There's a lot of people who like to really go back and do traditional types of like paganism, Hellenism, things like that. And my personal take on it, as somebody from especially a shadow work perspective, is it's wonderful to look at the past. But if you're stuck in the past and you're doing things that was at the time back then, how are you going to ever evolve right now in your life? How are you going to evolve and change with the times? So take the practices, take the wisdom, apply it to yourself, and don't feel like you need to deprive yourself of being a human being. Because no matter what happens, no matter how spiritual, how enlightened you get, you are never going to be out of this human body until you pass away.
Exactly.
So you may as well enjoy it. Enjoy being here as a human.
Exactly. And just to add to that as well, in the Buddhism community, or even this like desire is the thing that makes you unhappy or whatever, is in a lot of these ancient teachings. And it's like your desire to get out of desire is a desire. Hello. Like
yes.
You wanting to get out of your worldly desires is a desire you have. And I actually can see that in some of these, like even monks and stuff. It's like, and honestly, like nothing, like everyone live your life as you want to live it. But I think, this is my personal opinion, you can get so much more spiritual wisdom from an F-boy that you're dating than meditating. I genuinely believe that. Like, it is just, life is the lesson. Being here is the thing that we're supposed to do. This is I talk about this on my podcast all the time too. It's like these spiritual people trying to like focus out of life and into space, and it's all fun. And I love that we can learn from all of these different things. But like, at the end of the day, you're meant to live here and be here because you are here. So why would you try to, honestly, if you want to get out of body, ultimately you can die. But like, why would you want, like, you're here to experience life. So yeah, I'm a very much worldly girl as well. I'm also Taurus. My son is in Taurus, obviously. So yeah, I'm a May girly. We talked about this. So like, it's like, I just want to live.
I agree. I 1,000% agree. And being a Luciferian, one of the principles of being a Luciferian is to indulge in pleasure and indulge in your senses here as a human, because you're alive right now. You're alive right now. Why wait for a promised afterlife in whatever way you believe that, when you're alive right now? You don't have to put your happiness on pause for something. You really, really don't. And I find why grounding is so important, because it helps you stay connected here to earth. And it is really easy to fall into some sort of religious or spiritual psychosis, because again, it's this awe-inspiring feeling that you're having that is wonderful, and you're getting all of these knowledges and this lesson and things that are coming into your life, but you can't necessarily practice that in your everyday life. Now, it's not going to help you be a human. It's not helping you with your life right now. I always love to say, like, I'm very spiritual, but I'm also a realist. I'm a very, very skeptical, practical person as well. When I was hearing things genuinely, everybody, I went to so many therapists and psychiatrists to be like, am I schizophrenic or something? And they said, no, you're not. Because I have such insane spiritual experiences and occurrences that if I spoke about it really on the internet, people would be like, oh, she needs a straitjacket. But I'm so skeptical. I love to
Yes.
say that I am a realist who uses her spiritual knowledge to live a better everyday life.
I love
Because
this.
that's the point. That's the point of what we're doing all of this for. And if you talk to the deities, you connect with Jesus, the angels, well, maybe not the angels, but that's for a specific reason how they're made. But if you connect with a lot of different types of divine beings, entities, they'll sit there and tell you, enjoy being a human. The only time you're ever going to be able to consume food the way that we can eat food is as a human, because yes, we leave them food as offerings, but they're energetically consuming it. It's not the same as sitting there eating a Big Mac, even though that's not really good for you, but eat the burger. Eat a burger, eat a taco, eat whatever you want to eat. That's within your health and everything, of course, but
Yeah.
you're not any less spiritual. And I'm finding that people are going on some sort of a high horse, in a sense, and turning spirituality or this esoteric knowledge into some sort of morality thing, because they're saying, oh, you're eating or you're partaking in certain things, da 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 da, you're not as good, you're not as spiritual as me. When in reality, just like you said, you're going to gain some of the most spiritual knowledge out of just living your life.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
out of living your everyday life. It's not from reading a book. It's not from meditating. It's not by doing some sort of spell or some sort of concoction or whatever's going on. And I actually, for like a pop culture reference, I love the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. And specifically when Aang is going on his journey and the guy's like, oh, in order for you to have your cosmic knowledge, you need to get rid of Katara. And he was flipping out. He's like, why would I get rid of somebody that I love? And he decides not to. And he's speaking with Iroh and stuff. And I was like, I think you chose the right thing. As a human being, you should be choosing happiness and love and joy. And actually, what I found, or what I like to teach people, the way how you expand your spiritual power, your spiritual energy, is by feeling. It's your emotions. So if you have a deep sense of feeling and capacity for love or for anger, for sadness, that's what expands everything for you.
Period.
It's leaning into the human bits of it. It's not detaching and becoming cold.
Exactly. I say this all the time. Feel your emotions, guys. Like this is, by the way, cheat code to healing. I mean, this is not all of it, but the biggest part of healing is feeling your emotions. So many people are running away from their emotions through alcohol, drugs, getting away, watching Netflix, like everything, food, everything they can do not to feel emotions. Like if you would just feel your emotions, you would already be so much more in a healthier headspace, and your body would calm down. And depending on the emotion, obviously some is very heavy and you can do it with a therapist or whatever, but like feeling into your emotions is so important. And I just wanted to say as well to what you, I wanted to add that, isn't there like I think there's like some sort of, I don't know if it's a writing about Buddha or something, but apparently he said after his enlightenment, Buddha said, I would do this life 1,000 times again. Like I would come back and reincarnate 1,000 times again. Like when you which the lesson there is the true enlightenment, because we all try to get out of pain. That's what humans constantly do. And then once you reach the true enlightenment, you realize the purpose of it all and you would do it all again. So, this back to this, people trying to get out of life. It's like, oh, it's my last incarnation here on earth. If you're one of those people who say that, it's probably not. And that's okay too. Like, it's just like, again.
What? It's so funny you mention that. And it's really funny you say that. For me, after going through my Akashic records, my soul, just the natural memories I have of my past lives, for me, it is mine. However, I don't talk about that. I don't talk about that because my very, very first lifetime was all the way back in like 400, like, I get bad with the timelines, but it was way, 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 way long ago, back in the times of like actual real Fabulan in ancient China. And I've been here for a very, very long time. And for me and a lot of other people who I'm finding who are old souls and tired, it's the people who are here to be healers, who are energy workers, who are just like, y'all, I've done this. Earth sucks, but I'm here to help you. I'm here because this is the enjoyment of it. And then whatever happens, this is whatever happens out of it. Because all of those lifetimes, all of that experience of going through everything, it's painful to say the least. You get a lot of joy out of it. You get a lot of different experiences out of it. But for me specifically, as it's my last lifetime, I'm here to be here. I'm like, oh, I'm happy to be here in this specific timeline. We have running water. You can order food to your house. We have all of these little conveniences. We have air conditioning. I don't have to go to the bathroom in a little pot and a little bucket. Like, I'm good. I'm okay with being here. As bad as it is sometimes, and as much as I complain, I'm okay with being here with all of the conveniences that we have and the ability to do something really beautiful and build a legacy and stick with that. And I do agree
Yes.
with you. A lot of people who do say like, oh, it's
Yes.
my last lifetime, and they're running around like really talking about that. In my opinion,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that phrasing. And most of the time, if I like look into somebody and see, it's like they're a much, much younger soul, because that desire, it's
Yeah.
almost like when it really is the end, you have a desire to kind of not necessarily stay longer than you need to and not necessarily do it again, not for everybody. But I find it's this pure sense of enjoyment of, oh, I'm living life and I'm really experiencing this, because there is nothing like a human experience.
There's
There is
nothing like
only one type of, like, we're really the only beings that get to live and die and do so many different things in such a relatively short amount of time. Because if you talk about like a deity or something that is living eternally, it gets tiring after a while. A lot of the times you connect with these things and they're like, oh, what I would do to live a human life right now and go do something crazy and fun, and then I die, and then poof, I get to have that short experience, and things are so much more pleasurable, so much more enjoyable, so much more impactful because we have the concept of death. Because
Yes.
we know we're going to run out of time at some point.
Ugh, I love it. I think in Japanese we call it mono no aware. It's like a thing in Japanese that means the beauty in things that you know are going to die. So it's almost like, the sakura, the Japanese cherry blossom, is a symbol for this. It just blooms like 2 weeks, girl, and it's done. And the whole year you're waiting for these 2 weeks and you're really enjoying it. But just with the blow of a wind, it's gone, right? Like, so I love this mono no aware thing, whatever, I guess, what can you say? It's like a philosophy, I guess, Japanese thing. I love it, and I really, really identify with it too. And that's kind of how I see life. But yeah, girl, I could talk to you for hours. Okay, before we stop, I just want to ask you real quick. If you don't see anything, it's also fine. But like, do you see any spirits or something around me, or like anything, any energies that like stand out to you or something? I just out of interest, honestly, just interested.
I would not be surprised if after you finish the call, you have more weird stuff. I feel like there is some sort of spirit in your space with you right now. It doesn't seem like it wants to, like, it doesn't seem malicious or anything. It just seems like something that wants to, like, interfere a bit, like one of the little, like, less harmful trickster types of things. But on you overall, no, you have a really pretty aura. You're radiating like a really pretty blue aura color. Because I did mention that, but like, I see people's auras and things like that too. And you have a very healing, like, blue color, which I tend to find people who are natural energy healers or shamans, the colors that they tend to emanate are either a really light blue color, a really light yellow color, something, or green as well, something that's really connecting with water specifically as well, because water is also helping with the healing.
Oh, that's so crazy. Every psychic tells me I have this connection to water, which is so crazy. Like every time. That's so funny. But yeah,
And it's
girl,
not, I don't think
yeah.
it's a coincidence you ended up in Japan and you married your husband and everything, and he's Japanese, because Japan's islands and you're surrounded by the water.
I am. And yeah, me too, girl. I feel like Japan has been like calling me my whole life. It's so crazy that I'm here. Like, I just feel home here. And at the same time, I feel like I'm called to like my specific thing, the specific way that I am. I think everyone is a medicine, right? Like everyone, the way they are truly authentically is a medicine for someone else. And I feel like the way that I am specifically is a medicine for Japanese people, for a lot of Japanese people that I meet. And so it just feels like that. Yeah, for me. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for saying that. That's really funny. That's really cool. Yeah. And okay, wait. So, girl, I'm gonna have you on again. This was so fun. At the end, I
love doing this. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, we had so much fun. I can talk to you for hours. The little interruption, the celebrity witches are trying to like. Okay, okay, but yeah. So basically, when I end the call, I always do like a little rapid fire thing. So if you could just answer with like really quickly in a word or something without thinking too much. What's like a practice that you, like a spiritual practice that you do every day?
I cleanse my energy while I'm taking a bath. It's the easiest, simplest way to do it.
That one, so true. What's something you would recommend people to do when they want to get into witchcraft? Maybe that's as short as you can explain that.
Honestly, I would say get any type of beginner witchcraft book and just start experimenting in a very safe, practical way from that. Read things. Before you ever really get super, super deep into it, read, research, listen to people's experiences. That's going to give you so much more than buying somebody's like outright how to be a witch course or following like little tutorials you get on the internet. Read things, speak to people, and you'll find you naturally start to unravel.
I love that, yeah. And the last one I ask all of my guests is, what is love?
Oh my God. Love is it's the highest vibration. It is the most painful thing you will ever experience in your life. It will change you without a doubt, but my God, is it worth it? To truly love somebody, to truly be loved and feel it, it is one of the best experiences I have ever felt. And I would say it's the most beautiful thing about life.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Oh my God. Oh my God. Bianca had so much fun. Oh my God, we have to do it again because we only got to talk about 5% of the things we wanted to talk about.
I know. We could even go on a whole like a spiritual true crime thing because I'm so obsessed with true crime and the conspiracies of everything. And my whole thing is as soon as I was like, I'm a psychic, I was sitting down and I went down I love the British royal family just for like the conspiracy stuff. So I sat down and I was like, what happened to Diana? And I was told what technically happened to her. That like allegedly in my woo-woo opinion, it was that man. It was that man. He didn't want her to get married and be happy over him. So oof, like there was like a lot of things that went into it, but 1,000% that was on purpose from that man, in my opinion, allegedly.
For entertainment purposes only.
It's entertainment purposes only, but the way how like on my brain, because I get so intrigued and fascinated by this stuff, my brain goes on little spiritual like witch hunts almost, and I start like going energetically and psychically seeing stuff, and the amount of stuff that visits me afterwards. I too have had things come finding me after they're like, oh, what are you researching? What are you looking into? We could do a whole thing about vampires.
Oh God,
I got so into vampires, and I know too much about them.
Okay, we will do that. We will talk. Okay, next time we'll talk about vampires. We'll talk more about, oh my God, there's so much more celebrity stuff. Actually, I want to go, but okay, you know, guys, this was so wonderful, Bianca. I had so much fun. Thank you for coming on. I learned so much and I had so much fun. So yeah.
Me too. It was really amazing to speak with you. And my bread and butter is I just love talking to people. I love talking to people. I love connecting to people. I do, we live in capitalism. I sell my spiritual services. I do products and stuff like that. But for me, it's not about the money. It's the fulfillment and the joy I get from connecting with real people, making the connections. Or if somebody buys something from me and they're like, oh my God, it worked, da 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 da. That's what makes me happy. It's not the dollar amount. It's the connection. And I think that's priceless.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. And thank you guys so much for watching. This one was a wild ride. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you liked this, obviously check out Bianca as well. All her information is in the video description below. And if you like this video, it would help a lot if you could share, like, subscribe, or even comment anything. Comment an emoji for me or anything. Okay, this all helps. So yeah, love you guys and see you in the next one. Bye.